Your colleagues do seem to be inching towards not supporting the voice. Do you agree with the points being made by Peter Dutton?
I think in relation to the detail point, it is important that the government put forward a policy. You don't seek a new power in the Constitution unless you have a plan to use it. And I think the position that I've had for a long time is that they should present an exposure draft bill alongside an amendment.
Right. So to what extent do you agree with what he's saying, though? What detail would you need to continue supporting it? You support it at the moment. How much detail do you need? Or are you still supporting it now? Do you need more detail to support it? Where are you at?
Well, I've always supported the concept of a voice. I mean, I think it's a thoroughly liberal concept to provide communities with more agency and more control. The points that Mr Dutton is making and Mr Leitha are making in relation to detail are that there should be a policy of the government to use the power they're seeking in the Constitution. I think that's entirely reasonable.
Could it be necessarily? Does it need to be an exposure draft though? Could they just explain how in a shorter form? Do you think?
Well, my preference would be to see an exposure draft bill, and that's a position that was put forward by Noel Pearson when he gave a speech to the National Museum 18 months ago. That there should be an amendment alongside the policy or the bill.
Right. It's important to note, though, what people are voting for is not that. It's a change. It's a much simpler change in the Constitution.
But why wouldn't
and that legislation, my point being, that legislation that we get, that's fine, but that could be changed any day. A future Parliament could have a very different piece of legislation. So that's not a permanent part of what people are voting for, is it?
Yeah, but I want this to succeed. So I don't agree with that approach. I think you need to show people how it will work. And when you have a real-life example of a major problem happening in Australia right now, you need to be able to connect those problems to the solution, which would be better community consultation, more community control in the form of a voice.
So you think more detail could actually help it? Because people go, right, we see how this helps with certain issues.
Well, I'm trying to push this in the right direction.
Are you concerned your party's not?
Well, I think some people are against it for various reasons. I mean, I won't speak for them, but I'm a supporter of the voice.
But do you think there's a growing feeling within your party that it should oppose it?
Well, I think the government could have done more to work across the Parliament to build consensus. Now, this is a vote of the public, not of the politicians. We will be asked to give advice on how people should vote, and I want to be able to recommend a yes vote, but I have reservations about the way that some of this has been run.
If you had to guess right now, where do you think Peter Dutton's headed on this? He's spoken about a party room view. Is that a simple majority, do you think? And then if the majority carries the day, everybody has to campaign for it, or it's up to individuals?
Well, I think Mr Dutton's expressed his view that he has an open mind. And I think once there is a clearer policy on the table, we can discuss that as a Liberal Party.
But do you think each person would be free to campaign how they...
Well, I mean, historically the view has been that when you've had public votes on same-sex marriage or local government or the Republic, Liberal Party has allowed people to vote yes and no simultaneously. I mean, the Liberal Party is big enough for people to have their own views on these things.
All right. Andrew Bragg, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tom.